Tiny creatures, big roles, worms in ancient religions. Worms, we see them in the ground, we see them wiggle, but did you know that ancient people saw them as sacred? They did. Long ago, people believed worms were special. They thought worms had a connection to the gods. They believed worms were important in life and death. Let's go back in time. Imagine a world without science as we know it. People observed nature. They saw worms in the earth. The earth gave life. Worms seemed magical. They seemed to come from the earth itself. This is where our story begins. Earth, life and rebirth. The significance of worms. Many ancient cultures were deeply connected to the land. They relied on farming. They saw life, death and rebirth in nature. Worms living in the soil became powerful symbols. They represented the cycle of life. Worms seemed to appear miraculously from the ground. This made people think of creation stories. Gods made the earth. Worms came from the earth. This linked worms to the divine. Worms breaking down dead things also made them important for ideas about the afterlife. Worms around the world from Egypt to the Americas. In ancient Egypt, the scarab beetle was sacred. It rolled dung into balls. Egyptians thought this looked like the sun god Ra rolling the sun across the sky, but guess what? Scarab beetles lay their eggs in dung balls. Worms hatch from these eggs, so worms were indirectly connected to Ra. Across the world, the Mayans also had beliefs about worms. They had a god named Kukulkan. He was a feathered serpent, a snake god. Snakes, like worms, move close to the ground. Mayans saw snakes shedding skin as rebirth, just like worms seemed to be reborn from the earth. Deeper meanings, symbols and rituals. Worms weren't always seen positively. Sometimes they represented decay or weakness, but even then, they were powerful reminders of life's cycle. Ancient people used worms in rituals. They might offer worms to the gods. They might bury them with the dead. They believed this would bring them closer to the gods. Today we don't see worms the same way, but these tiny creatures remind us of the amazing power of nature. They remind us of the beliefs of our ancestors, and they show us that even the smallest creatures can have big stories to tell.